I am honored to be here with Hyvel, another one of our Hall of Fame moms in business. She has been through so much. Her story is amazing. But what is even more amazing about Hyvel is her ability to transform others' lives by not just sharing her story, but practical advice that we can go ahead and just apply to our everyday situation and make life beautiful because we only get one shot at this, guys. So, with that being said, I'm going to just turn this over to Hyvel so she can share with us her journey as a mom in business, but also a heart attack survivor. So, Hyvel, let's hear your story.
Thank you for allowing me on your platform. My journey is a familiar story, and it's sad to say it is. The fact of, we are dying, and women now are the forefront of, just heart attacks and stroke. And as I started my journey from a stroke, a heart attack, quadruple bypass, and today I have 10 stents in me, I know the urgency. And as I started going down that rabbit hole of healthcare, I looked at the disparities. And it was so daunting, the fact that we have to fight for our health care. And there was so much setback. There was so much, I would say, pushback as far as getting the help I needed. But when I saw the statistic as far as strokes and heart attacks, I 89% prevented. And I did what I needed to do. But I understood that we have to get to a better place. And I started empowering myself to know better and to do better. I had to understand how to take care of myself. And we as women, we wear the S on our chest to everyone. And no one's coming to our rescue. I had to find out means and ways to rescue myself. And that set me on a journey of not only in business, but transparency of my own life to help people live right now.
Wow. I always say you never know what to do until it's your turn. And we can gather all the knowledge. I mean, right now it's everywhere, right? But how do we apply that knowledge and how do we stay motivated to continue to apply that knowledge? I have friends in all parts of the world, a lot of folks who plug in here to the Mompreneur Source platform in our directory. It's a global directory, and wherever you are, you'll find that your city will pop up when you visit our website. However, I notice there's such a difference in what is termed healthcare in different countries. And I also noticed since I moved here to America, it's more like crisis management. Now, I have a pretty extensive background in the medical field. I work mostly night shift trauma. And at that time, I thought I was a pretty healthy individual until a doctor said to me, if you don't change your life, you're going to die young. And sadly, many of us wait until we get something from a doctor that tells us, okay, we have to change our life instead of being proactive, like you said, Haiba, taking personal responsibility for our own health, right? Why should we have to wait until we get a pill for the ill and then get a side effect? Because in my case, I had some minor situation that I took some pills for, and the side effect from that pill, I needed to take another pill to remedy the side effects from that pill. And before you know it, here I am in my 20s, like with a Ziploc bag of pills. And that got me upset because now I was becoming the folks who were coming to me in the emergency room. And I decided, wait a minute, I have to do something about that. And it wasn't until I started educating myself, but also surrounding myself in the community of like-minded individuals who were not afraid to question our so-called medical professionals, right? And I don't say this at all to say that they are not needed. I believe I can speak from my experience living here in America. Like if you're dying, if you have a crisis, and it's an emergency, get to a US hospital, right? I tell people if I get hit by a car, man, do not bring me a shot of wheatgrass. Okay, light me up. Give me the good stuff, right?
Yes.
But for many of us, and I know you can speak to this because of
Mhm.
your personal journey,
Yes.
right?
Mhm.
Many of us don't see it like that. And some of us also try to be combative with the
Yes.
doctors when it should be almost like you're co-creating. It's a joint venture,
A team, yeah.
right? The team effort. If you could speak to that a little bit, because part of being a mom, which is something important that you said, Havel, was people rely on us and the expectation is so high. And I'm so grateful for the moms who decide to be entrepreneurs, because that means yes, we can be more available to our family, but that also means, yes, we are taking on far more than the average human. So if you could just speak to that a little bit, that'd be awesome for our community.
Yes. First of all, let me address the question as far as health care and medication adherence. And we know, like you said, if you get hit by a truck, you want to go to the trauma and get fixed. And with that, there's a responsibility that we have to undertake. And I know for a fact there are certain medications that I have to be on for a lifetime. But I know also that there's a few medications that I can wean off with my care team. So it's so important that we go ahead and listen to our doctors, but that lifestyle has to happen. And then you wean yourself off of a lot of the medication. Because at one point I was on 25 different meds but
Wow.
I kind of worked towards getting healthy with my care team. And as far as fact of, mention about the mom who's doing everything for everyone. As far as that mom who's doing everything for everyone, we are the caretakers, we are the businesswoman, we're in the bedroom, and also we're at home relying on ourselves. But if you don't take the time, in essence, schedule time for self-care. I talk about that nucleus. We are the caretaker, we keep it all in perspective. But if we're not whole, our family is not whole. And I
Mm,
had to come to that rationalization that if I'm not here and I'm doing everything for everyone, but I'm not taking care of self, everything I'm doing is in void. And it's
mhm,
so imperative that we understand that what we do right now affects our tomorrow, but it also affects our children.
mhm,
So it's so important that we align ourselves with just creating habits that's going to be sustainable, because you can't keep running on empty. At one point, you have to fill up with some gas. But
mhm,
we tend to go and go and go until we fall. And I tell people the story of when I had this stroke. I had symptoms and I refused to go to the emergency room. The EMS actually came to my house. I refused to go. It was not only until my husband came home and my legs started to go numb. And he's like, let's go to the doctor. And we fought all the way to the ER. And when I got there, they said possible stroke. But I was defiant because I thought an aspirin would have fixed my problem,
mm.
and it didn't.
I know a lot of us get caught up nowadays. In my household, there's Dr. Google. So you start getting a symptom or a side effect and you just Google it. And
Mhm,
then if Google doesn't work, then telemed, right? I will call no names.
mhm,
With that being said, back to one of our points we touched on is because the information is so readily available, many of us think we are the experts.
mhm,
And instead of taking the approach of it takes a village, right?
mhm,
It takes a village to raise a child, but it also takes a village to help adults
mhm,
become thriving, healthy adults, where we are not just giving like what's left over to our families and our spouses at the end of the day,
mhm,
right? My friend, she said, if you're not being poured into, there's nothing to withdraw from. And those words really sat home with me because many of the moms I interview here, we seem to be circulating around the subject of work life balance. How do we do it? How do we have it all? And can we really have it all? I know, Hyvel, your TED talk was about sex after a heart attack and talk about having it all. That is quite commendable because for me, I would think if I had a heart attack, I probably wouldn't even want to have sex. But if you could just share on what drove you to speak on that subject for your TEDx as your idea to share with the world.
It was an experience, and I was embarrassed about really talking about it. But there's something in life, if you've been touched and there's something that you're struggling with, and you definitely know that people out there has the same questions. And so I questioned everything I was doing because I was void. And to
Mm-hmm.
go down that road as far as, you have a heart attack and you're still vibrant. I had my heart attack at 41 years old. I was My husband is still there. He has his needs. I have my needs, but we were falling short. And so I did some research. I went down Google, of course. Google, I
And
went
YouTube.
ahead, asked YouTube, yes. And I was so afraid to even talk to my cardiologist. I talk in my speech about how my girlfriends I shared everything to, but I was too embarrassed to bring up the subject of sex and heart attack. But I knew it was a struggle for me. And I know if I'm going through this struggle, I know other people are going through this struggle. And as I started doing my research, most marriages fail because of an illness, because of lack of communication.
Mm-hmm.
And so I was determined that we were not going to fall in the statistic. So once we started doing the work, it was not I alone. We did the work by
Mm-hmm.
truly just being there for each other. And there was a death that had to take place. I had to die of the past because that old life was not coming back. And we tend to try to retrieve.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes there's no go back, especially with a case of a stroke and a heart attack. You have to adapt and modify, give grace to yourself, knowing that you're here, you have breath. Now, how do you take here and now and move it towards your future?
Mm-hmm.
Because we were stuck in the past. But I knew that past no longer suited both of us. So we had to learn to address the elephant in the room and to move towards our future. And that's what I explored, the vulnerability, but most of the strength and the willingness for communication and empathy, because love was there.
Mm-hmm.
It just evaded us because we didn't talk about it. And
Wow.
that's how we fall short.
Wow. So I know, Highville, this is heavy, but you have accomplished so much and you've been featured on NBC, and we consider you a Hall of Fame mom because, like you said, you did not let the past predict your future. And if you could just share some of that part of your journey with our audiences listening.
Well, I'm an introvert, but I am so grateful. But when I open my mouth and I carry a lot of passion because it comes from a place of urgency.
Hmm.
I pray that anybody that I speak to, I leave with a heart connection to truly touch and not let my life or the legacy that is within me of my triumphs and my victories or even the setback define who I am. To let
Hmm.
people know that no matter where you are, what struggles you're dealing with, you're here, take a
Hmm.
breath and move on. So whatever accolades I have, those are fine. But the true essence of who I am, and I want to make a heart connection, no matter where you are, whatever matter in your journey, you have a breath, you have the willingness to empower yourself to change the trajectory of your life by making one step, one choice, because it's a matter of the heart.
Mm. And I don't typically read books about people's story, confession here, but I do read books about entrepreneurs and their journey and how they were able to overcome challenges.
Mhm.
I know you have a book.
Yeah.
So please share that with us and how we can get a hold of it.
Yes. Okay. And the book is deep. And I pray that everyone that actually reads the book truly change.
Mhm.
Because I talk about how I had a heart attack and it happened the physical, but it was the past.
Mm.
of just the internal emotional abuse, neglect that caused the heart attack. And I talk about in the book of how the heart attack was a beautiful blessing.
Mm,
I had to go back to that little lost girl who felt neglected, who felt abandoned, who was abused. So the doctors just performing the open heart surgery on me because I was void of emotions. I lived life with a veil. So as they went in physically to open up, to saw open my chest, and I have a 10-inch gauge, I had to feel.
mm.
I had to actually feel and grieve and just put everything in perspective. And no matter who you are in the journey, I talk about how we have to capture, forgive ourselves, because it's not what has been done. It happened already, but it's about a forgiving self and loving because I felt unworthy of it. And so I explore the balance of just life and how we are all that little 8-year-old girl, that trauma, that abuse. And it's sad enough, a lot of us are still living there that hasn't brought her into our now so that we can move to a better place. So the book just is about, it's called The Stroke of My Heart because my heart had to had a stroke so that I can live how God intended me to live, and that's open. So it's a stroke of an open heart, and I explore the journey of everything.
Wow. Wow. Now, hi, Bill. I know you have a lot of talks coming up, and you are highly sought after as a speaker. If someone wants to book a speaking or book you for a speaking engagement, how can they find you?
Yes, you can follow actually go on the website. It's Heart Sistas. That's HEARTSISTAS. And also the book is available on strokeofmyheart.com. And you can reach me basically on all social media. Please follow the page. That's Instagram, Facebook, TikTok at Heart. That's HEARTSISTAS. Let's make a heart connection. The work starts now, and we need us. We need community.
Well, and you have certainly found the right community here with the Mompreneur Source